Fortnite Chapter 5 is coming to a close with the end of Season 4 in less than a week. So in this video, we're going to take a look back at each season in Chapter 5, and we're going to rank them from worst to best. And coming in the 4th spot, we have Chapter 5, Season 3. Now I know this is a popular opinion with putting Season 3 at last, but what isn't a popular opinion is the fact that I don't think Season 3 was a bad season by any means. Yes, the car combat was extremely controversial, but in my opinion, I really liked it. It brought variety and a brand new experience to a game that we've all been playing for years, and besides the new car combat, I feel like the season really delivered with the map changes. The season brought us a brand new biome that was visually much different than any other biome on the island. In this new area of the map, we had plenty of room for car fights and new POI additions like the Nitrodrome, Sandy Steeps, Redline Rig, and Brutal Beachhead. And I also think the weapons from Season 3 were pretty solid, as the season brought us the Combat Assault Rifle, the Combat Shotgun, the Hand Cannon, and the Boom Bolt. And of course, we also have to mention the Nitro Fist. But what really brought down the season for me were the nerfs and the events. And starting with the nerfs, it felt like Epic intended on cars being the main focus throughout the season, but due to backlash with each update, they made them less and less useful. Now I get a lot of people didn't enjoy the car combat, and I will admit that some things needed to be nerfed, especially with the mythic cars. However though, I felt like it made the season feel pretty bland, as a majority of the items that were added throughout the season were specifically put in the game to counter cars. And as far as updates go, I think the Pirates of the Caribbean event and the summer event were both massive letdowns. So with all that said, I certainly don't hate Season 3, but it's certainly my least favorite season of Chapter 5. And coming in at number 3, we have Chapter 5, Season 2. Now this is a season that I feel gets a little bit too much hate. For starters, the map changes for the season were great. We had the brand new Olympus biome that might be one of my favorite areas on any map inside of the game. The POIs with Mount Olympus and Brawler's Battleground were both really solid points of interest, and I love the statue that's overlooking the map in the biome. And then of course we have the Underworld, which is honestly just as impressive. I also think we had some great additions to the loot pool for Season 2. Of course we had the Warforged Assault Rifle, and we finally had a good DMR with the inclusion of the Huntress DMR. But by far the best addition to the loot pool in Season 2 was the Gatekeeper Shotgun. Of course we also have to mention the addition of the Greek items to the loot pool as well. I really enjoyed the Wings of Icarus and the Chains of Hades, but I wasn't a huge fan of the Zeus Lightning Bolt, as it really just left you as a sitting duck for enemy players to get free shots on. I also think the Battle Pass was pretty impressive this season, with the only skin not hitting the mark for me being Zeus. The super styles for the pass were also great, and we received one of the cleanest tier 100 skins of all time with Hades. But of course, like many other players, I think the Avatar event was the downward spiral of the season. Now that's not to say the Avatar event was terrible, as it had a great mini Battle Pass, and we also had some fun items to use in the game. The problem for me is that the Avatar events completely replaced the Greek items for the season, rather than being an added-on bonus for the loot pool. And not to mention, I also think the event went on a little bit too long. All in all, I still really enjoyed the season, but we'll have to put it at number 3. Now you might think some of my picks for today's list are a little bit crazy, but the craziest thing is that over 90% of you guys are not subscribed. So make sure to hit that subscribe button and make Bart the Frog very happy. And coming in at number 2, we have Chapter 5, Season 4. Now you might be surprised that a Marvel-themed season isn't at the top of my list, and to be honest with you, I'm a little surprised as well. Coming into the season, I thought that Nexus War could never be replicated, and I think the season has proven that. Now that isn't to say that Absolute Doom is a bad season, and in fact, it's not even close. My biggest positive for Season 4 by far is the additions to the loot pool and the map updates. Season 4 added the Striker Burst, which is one of my favorite weapons in Chapter 5, the Sovereign Shotgun, which is so underrated, and the Dual Micro SMGs, which are some of my favorite SMGs in the game. But on the flip side, I will admit that I'm 50-50 split on the Marvel items. I don't think any of them are really that bad, but I definitely think that Nexus War did a better job with the variety of items. However, the map additions for the season were fantastic. Doom's Castle is for sure one of my favorite POIs in the game, and the colors of the brand new biome remind me of the older Fortnite islands with a bright green, vibrant look, rather than the dull and realistic colors that Chapter 5 introduced. The Battle Pass was also a positive for me, as I think some of the skins like Emma Frost, War Machine, Mysterio, and Doom are some of the best Marvel skins to date. I do wish skins like Pilverine and Jonesy were replaced with characters we haven't already seen, like Ultron or Winter Soldier though. I also wish the item shop skins were a little bit better in the season as well. Another massive win for this season was the updates. Even though the Day of the Doom LTM was a little disappointing, it was still super refreshing to finally see an LTM added back to the game. But I also would have really loved to see the return return of the Marvel Knockout LTM from Chapter 2, Season 4. And sticking with the updates, we had a mini live event where we fought and defeated Dr. Doom, which felt like another step in the right direction of bringing live events back to the game. And of course, we have to mention this year's Fortnitemares, where Epic Games absolutely cooked. The skins and collaborations are phenomenal. Practically every part of the map is decorated. We have new POIs, and the chainsaw is one of the coolest items that we've seen. All in all though, I think Absolute Doom is a great season that had some misses here and there, but overall I still think it was very solid, so we'll throw it at number 2. And coming in at number 1, we have Chapter 5, Season 1. Now at the beginning of the chapter, I said that Chapter 5, Season 1 was easily in my top 10 seasons of all time. And here we are at the end of the chapter, and I wholeheartedly stand beside that claim. I think a lot of players at the launch of this season were too focused on the changes going on with the Fortnite platform and wrote the season off as a negative because of everything that was going on. Now some of the changes, I agreed with the player base that they were unnecessary or bad, but I didn't let any of the outside noise affect how I felt on the season overall. For starters, the loot pool was by far the best loot pool of the chapter. We had the Striker Assault Rifle that was honestly just as good, if not a little better than the OG Scar. The Thunderburst SMG, which is in the conversation as one of the best SMGs of all time. And of course, one of my favorite sniper rifles ever with the Reaper Sniper. The shotgun meta was a little iffy though, I'll admit, as the Hammer Pump shotgun was pretty bad. And while the Frenzy Auto was pretty broken, I didn't find it very fun to use. Of course, we also have to mention the Grapple Blade, which is an item that a lot of players have forgotten about. This item was so good for traversal, and it fit the vibe that the season was going for. The map was certainly the biggest downside for me of the season, as I think the Chapter 5 map is pretty underwhelming. However, I still think the season had some pretty solid point of interest, like Hazy Hillside, which should have never been removed from the map. For some reason, Epic Games has a habit of removing my favorite POIs after the first season, like Hazy Hillside and Camp Cuddle with Chapter 3, so I'm gonna need them to stop doing that, please and thank you. Shifting back to the positives, I think the Battle Pass is criminally underrated. Valeria, Hope, and Snake are all S-tier skins in my opinion, and even other skins like Oscar and Montague are still very solid. And yes, we did have Peter Griffin, which isn't a skin I run very often, but I get the appeal for the meme. And of course, we can't talk about Season 1 without mentioning one of the best collab events we've ever seen with the event for the Ninja Turtles. This event not only brought the iconic Ninja Turtles to the island, but it also brought with it map changes and items to the loot pool for each of the turtles. So for me, Chapter 5 Season 1 goes down as a top 10 season, and I'll always appreciate it as the best season of Chapter 5. But be sure you let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. But as always, take care and stay twisty.